One of the things you specialize in is helping people navigate workplace challenges like burnout and interpersonal conflict. Can you talk about how these issues affect the clarity that you get in your career?
Yeah, I think it goes, well, first of all, I think what's really important to mention is that there isn't a one size fits all for any of them. Even when it comes to challenges in the workplace, whether it be like conflicts with colleagues or your boss or just burnout and things, there are different realities that make us feel like we should be okay with that. And that's what I mean, that it's different from one person to the other, because some things are clearly like harassment or like they're clearly bullying. And it's just like, or they're clearly discrimination. It's just like, this is what's happening, right? And it's like, how do you navigate that in the workplace? What's in place for you, whether it's HR or what are the departments or the people that are in place to support you navigate that from maybe even like a legal standpoint. There's expectations you have of others that aren't their expectations to hold on to, and they're just how you decide others should be. And so there's a lot of that. Depending on what the client shares with me, then I'm paying attention to what happened. Like, what are the facts of what happened? Is it the job they don't like, or is it the situation that I can give them tips and tools so they can have the conversation they need to have to get to a better place to continue enjoying their jobs, right? Because some people will let me know, like, oh, everything was fine until this happened. Some people, it's hard for people to admit at times, but some people have known that it wasn't the job for them the minute they said yes to the job and signed the contract.
I love that so much. And you know what? You can't gain any clarity if you're feeling overwhelmed. And oftentimes we're feeling that way. And so we really need to take time to really address those stressors, setting those boundaries, saying no, and just seek therapy, even just taking
Yeah.
a break.
Even when you talk about the therapy, like a lot of these companies have employee assistance programs or services. Like, reach out and get someone to support you, because sometimes it's super simple. It might be something you didn't see, but to what you were saying, because it is true that if you are overwhelmed or if there's something happening in the workplace that is taking you away from maybe, let's say, like your desire, it's going to be really hard for you to, in that headspace, get clarity. Is it just a situation that's like, is it just a conflict and we solve the conflict? Or is it really like, this isn't the right space for you? It's so important to get rid of that gap, because how often you might recognize yourself in this, or your listeners might recognize themselves in this. You just like quit because you're sick of it. You just say yes to the next job. And then 2 months later, you're like, how and why am I in the exact same situation? And I like to compare that to even relationships. That happens a lot in relationships. You break up with somebody, but then your next relationship, just for whatever reason, shows up the same way it has before. So pause. What's the common factor, right? And so even for my clients, sometimes like the journey isn't that you start working with me and you quit right away and tomorrow you're in your dream job. The journey is about, yes, you want to quit. Let's just acknowledge you're not happy here. And then let's help you identify who you are, what you really want, what's getting in the way of that, what are some of your fears. Are you including joy and pleasure in your day-to-day life? If you're not, how do we bring that into your life? Just really helping you create a really strong foundation. So then moving forward, you're going to evolve in the job you love. You're going to change your mind at some point. You're going to want to change. That is part of life. It isn't about finding a job and you're going to stay there until you retire. It's about learning the tools and the elements and the structure that's going to help you build a life you love. It's not just about your career. It's a life you love. And there are foundational pieces that need to be in place for you to confidently quit, successfully get into the next position, be able to recognize, when is this actually not working for me anymore versus when do I just need to work through this to empower you as an individual.
We're talking about clarity here, but also success. It doesn't come overnight.
Yeah.
And that's okay. We just have to be really patient with ourselves
Yes.
and to listen to that inner voice and to take those small steps, right, towards what we feel
Yeah.
right in our gut.
Yes. And the small steps, oh my gosh, I call them baby steps with my clients. Those are
Yeah,
so important,
you got to
right?
celebrate them.
Yeah, yeah. Celebrate them, take them, embrace them, trust that they're building that foundation. That's so important. Even when I think about my journey, I wouldn't even be here today having this conversation with you,
Yeah.
having the title now. Like, I would still be, I don't know where I'd be. I'd probably still be at a job I didn't like, trying to figure it out. And so often, what I see where my clients tend to get stuck is that they think that we're going to sit here and think about it, and they're going to have this clear path that's going to show up, and then they're good to go. The reality is that there is a desire that's asking you to do something, and we're going to work through overcoming the fears or the beliefs or whatever's getting in the way of you just saying yes to that desire, because that desire is what opens the next door to what comes next. And so often people will be like, yes, but how do you do it? I'm like, don't worry about the how. Taking that baby step action is already shifting the energy, because now you've done something new and different that shifts you outside of the cocoon of your comfort zone that would actually keep you exactly where you are for many, many years to come.
It's creating a plan and taking those baby steps towards that ultimate goal where you want to be. We need to be
Yeah.
very patient with ourselves and just really understand like what is it that we want and just take those steps towards getting there.